right. Well, hello, Jackie. How you doing?
Hey Jen, what's going on?
Hey, you ready for this? I know you've been practicing. I know you might be a little nervous, but I have faith in you. So,
Yes,
are you sure you're ready for this?
I'm totally ready for this. Let's
All right.
let's
Well,
do it. Bring it on.
I have faith in you. I can't wait to see how you do. So, take it away, Jackie.
Okay. From bad inspections to cracked foundations, drug dealers to shady real estate agents, covering one real estate nightmare at a time. Welcome to Reddit Real Estate Disasters. Did I do good?
I think you did great.
I mean,
Nicely done, my
Well,
friend.
well, thank you. I found that hard to do because you are the intro queen. So
Oh, don't say that.
I didn't know if I was going to be able to meet the standards, but thanks. I tried.
Goodness gracious. So hey, so my daughter got her license today.
Yay!
Holy cow. We were talking about this. I'm thrilled as of today. She's my youngest. As of today, I am no longer a taxi driver, but I am also horrified and absolutely scared to death about her driving.
Yeah,
Ah!
I know. That too will pass. Just just
Good grief. How
give
did
it
I get
time.
here? How did
Isn't
I
it
get here?
crazy?
I
It's
feel like she came out of the womb like 2 days ago.
Yep.
5 days.
And now it's like you have this newfound freedom because you don't have to drive her anywhere. Isn't that
I
great?
know. I'm like,
I
holy
love
cow, I
that.
can take that off my schedule. She's working on Friday. And I'm like, wait, I don't have to drive her.
To drive her. Yep. Yeah, that was
so,
me
so I
this
can
year.
like stay in my pajamas
Yeah.
instead of like putting on the outside shoes. I don't have to put the outside shoes. I can just stay
You could just
in
stay
my
in.
inside Crocs, and what a life.
Isn't that awesome? That was me this year when my daughter started high school. When she went back for because senior year they're allowed to bring their cars to school, and what a joy that was. Not
I know
battling
you
the
got
traffic
lots.
and the parking lot and getting there. Oh, yes,
You got
it's a
lots
beautiful
going
thing.
on. You because she's your baby, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Graduating.
She's
Jeez.
graduating. She's graduating next month, matter of weeks, and yeah,
How do
yeah.
we get here,
It's
Jackie?
I don't know. I don't know, but
Seriously, I think it's teleportation a thing or time warping because there is no way that we are old enough to have
no,
kids that are graduating from
no,
high school.
no.
What?
I know. I know. I
We were
just
changing diapers like
two yeah,
last
like
year,
two
right?
days ago. Like you said, that's what it feels like. It was like two
Well,
days ago.
if in all honesty, let's be real, like it does feel like we're still changing diapers because the way they act sometimes.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah. Big kids, big problems. Yeah. We got
It's
that
like, come
whole
on,
new thing to
guys.
conquer. I know. It's but look, it's fun.
Children.
Listen, every stage in their lives bring so many great things. They bring bad things too, but they bring great things. And I'm enjoying watching my kids become adults, and I'm having such a great time hanging out with them and
Are you
doing
though?
all the things,
Are you really though? Because I feel like this is like this is harder this period of my life with them this age. One's 22, one's 17 is
Yep.
way harder
Oh,
when they were little like
oh,
elementary
million percent.
school.
Yep.
This is so much harder. They didn't. It's all a farce. They're like,
Nobody's
oh, terrible
no
twos.
one prepared us.
No.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, you mean it? So I thought it was like it would get easier as they get older because they can
No.
feed themselves and bathe themselves and all the things. It's like, oh no, it gets harder.
It does get harder, but it gets easier in other ways
It
too. So
does.
you got it's all good with the bad.
No,
So,
I 110%,
you know,
110%. They're good. We get good kids, Jackie.
we do. We have
We are
great
very,
kids.
very fortunate.
Yep.
So
Very.
no axe murderers or nobody's
No.
going to jail that we know
Nope.
of.
It's all
So
good.
it's all good.
Good stuff. Ah.
Well, I always look forward to this. This is like the highlight of my week. This is so as I just can't wait to see what you've found in the depths
Oh.
of the hole that is Reddit.
Oh yeah. Oh,
And what types of things people are airing out on their
mhm.
dirty laundry. So I just can't wait to hear what you got cooked
Oh,
up. What you
I got some
found out.
goodies. I got some goodies this week. I'm gonna kick it off with this one. I was just what when I read this. I was just saying to myself, what? Was this for real?
Wait, what?
Um, yeah. So this is, are we ready to go? Can I start?
Yeah,
Can I
rock
kick
and
it
roll,
off?
baby. Let's
Awesome.
go.
All right. This is a story that somebody shared. So I found this on the thread where people were sharing closing horror or funny stories. Okay. So
Okay.
this guy's sharing his story about what happened to him in 2005. Wait to hear this one. Okay. In 2005, we closed on a house in Texas. At closing, we were informed that the husband who co owned the house we were buying with his. Wait, let me read that again. Sorry. At closing, we were informed that the husband who co owned the house we were buying with his wife was suddenly called out of the country. Sorry.
Okay.
We were, we were asked if we could wait a week. We had my mother in law at our old place coordinating the movers. As we were at the office, our furniture was being loaded into their truck. We said no and asked for more options. Our realtor and theirs went into a different room for 20 minutes and came back. Our realtor pulled us out of the building and said, apparently, the owner has an arrest warrant out for him
I
and he's
knew
not
you were
coming
gonna
back
say that.
anytime soon.
I knew you were gonna say that. Oh,
But
okay.
wait,
Sorry.
there's more.
What? Wait, there's
They
more.
they needed time to get him the documents, have him sign, and mail them back.
Oh my
The
goodness.
second option they offered was for us to pay rent, in quotes, and move into the house for a week. We could be charged $100 a day, and by the end of the week, we would receive all the paperwork, and the house would be officially ours. Nope. Why would we pay $700, and why would it take a week? We could not FedEx the documents internationally, have him sign, and get them back in 4 days at max. So the final offer was a 4-day turnaround, and the sellers would charge us $25 a day, which the realtors would both pay out of their own pockets. That's wrong. They shouldn't have charged them, period. But anyway, we were given the keys and a document signed by the owner assuring us we would be in full possession of the house within 5 days, or the deal would become null and void, and we would be reimbursed $20,000 for moving costs, time, and emotional distress. Not sure how enforceable it was, especially from someone on the run from the law. we 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 arrived at the new house minutes before the movers. We found out that the previous owners did not leave any window coverings behind, which is a law in Texas. So we called our realtor, and 3 hours later, she drove up very pissed off with a car full of curtains for a 5-bedroom house. She had to meet the other realtor and her clients, and they had to go through their boxes to find the curtains. We start cleaning up the place. It required that a cleaning company give the house a cleaning, but whomever they hired seemed was not great. As we are cleaning, we find all these dime bags, crack, cocaine, and meth equipment hidden.
Holy smokes.
We let the police know. They come and collect the stuff and do a quick walkthrough. We find out the guy who owned the house has a warrant out for selling drugs. Yep, that checks out. Movers and police are gone. We're settling in. It's nighttime, and we're still unpacking when the doorbell rings. We open it up, and a young man is looking at me, maybe 20. He's surprised to see me, asked to speak to the previous homeowner's name, and I said he sold the house to me, and he's gone. He asked me how I know how far away he moved, and I honestly say I think he left the country. A few awkward seconds, and then he thanks me and leaves. I feel he wanted to ask me if I was the new dealer. Over the over the next few days, from 8 p.m. to 2 a.m. in the morning, we would have our doorbell rung. I finally got a sign and put it on the door saying new owners, old owners moved out of the country. That cut down on the doorbell ringing by 70%. I then added under it the same thing in Spanish, and then we got
Oh
it
my
down to pretty much
gosh.
0. It was a rocky start. Can you can you imagine that? Oh my God.
So, oh boy. Okay. Okay. All right. So, lots to lots to unpack here. So, first off, if we can go back to the beginning.
Yes,
The
ma'am.
whole thing with like an extension, it's the seller's fault they can't close, And
And yet
oh
they're going to
wait,
charge but we're going to charge the
we're
buyers.
gonna charge the buyers. You
No,
gotta pay us because we are not ready to close.
no.
BS.
That total BS. Why would
100%
you do
BS.
that? Even I
No,
wouldn't give you one freaking dime for a
no,
day in that to pay rent. No way.
no. It's called. So we will extend,
Yeah,
and we will do so with your compensating us all of the extra fees that we're going to have to incur with
yeah,
delaying our movers and inconvenience.
exactly. Yeah,
The seller pays the buyer, not the other way around.
they had a bad attorney. The buyers. That
They
was
have
just
bad
bad
real estate
and
agents.
bad real estate
Because, I
agents
mean,
too.
so here's the thing. Okay, that's the other thing I was going to say. And we were talking offline about this earlier about just real estate agents in general and practices and the whole 9 yards, and how it frustrates us with some agents and the way they conduct business.
Yep.
Would you agree? I don't even have to ask this question. I know what you're going to say. But oftentimes agents will make up for their lack of knowledge, make up for their lack of negotiation skills by opening their own wallet.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, if they did their job, if the buyer's agent did their job and put their foot down, I've had done this plenty. I can count on one hand how many times I've opened my wallet, Jackie, over the course of the last 28 years. And it's
Right.
not because I'm stingy or anything else. It's like, no, I just negotiate on my client's behalf so I don't have to.
Exactly.
Okay? And that's the
Exactly.
thing, because it's easier to say, oh, we'll just pay for it, instead of digging in a little bit and saying, no, 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 no. Miss Sellers, Mr. or Mrs. Sellers agent, your client's in the wrong. If you want to dig in your wallet, that's fine. But I'm not going to
No.
on your behalf. I am not going to. So it's do you know what I'm saying? It drives me
Yeah.
crazy because it's an easy way out, because it's like, no, let's just have the agents pay for it. It's like, well, hold on a second.
But
We're not
that's
buying the house.
right. But that's the first place they go to, right?
That
That's
is
the
it
first
is.
place that pull it out of the agent's commission.
And why
No.
is that? Is because the industry as it stands now, that's the way it's conducted.
Right.
It's expected to do that because
Yes.
the agents don't know how to conduct themselves professionally. Okay, I'll get off that soapbox and we'll just move that to the side and talk about these people. Okay, the second thing, the meth equipment. Now, I don't know what the laws are in Texas, but I mean, if a house has meth equipment, I mean, that's like instant grounds for, you have to, contamination. Like I'm almost positive. Now, this is not an area of expertise for me. I wouldn't know
Okay.
for
Okay,
certain. I
good.
have no idea, but
Okay.
like, I've watched Breaking Bad, so
Oh,
that's about
yes.
the extent of my meth knowledge is Breaking Bad. But the thing is like, but the thing is like, I do know that if a house has been discovered to have a meth lab in it,
Mm-hmm.
they will the authorities will not let people live in that property because of the
Mm.
severe contamination. They have to make sure that property has been
Interesting.
decontaminated, because that
Interesting.
stuff can get in, that can kill you. That
Yeah.
stuff is, it's, if it has equipment there, highly flammable and all the things, like people come in the zoot suits and all that kind of stuff. So, I
Yep.
mean, I don't know what they define as meth equipment, air quotes, meth equipment, whether it's just a bunch of like
It could
vials or
have been
something.
something minor,
It
you
could have been
know?
something minor, but the thing is like, whenever you hear, I mean, like, like if it's like pot or something like that, that's
Yeah.
one thing. But like meth is like, the authorities, like, they don't, and the board of health and stuff, they don't mess around with that stuff.
No.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
But again, this is back in 2005. I don't
yeah.
know if
So
that makes a difference, you
that
know?
was the other thing I was gonna say is things were bonkers in 2005. I mean, we thought that
Yes,
they
they
right,
were.
like we thought they were bad in 2020, 2021,
You're
and
right.
all these things, but 2005, it was like,
Yep.
it was the same thing. And it's just all, it was wild, wild west, and people buying houses left and right. I mean, I mean, if it were me, Jackie, and I did the final walkthrough, I was buying that house.
Yeah.
and say they worked out the deal and I was going to move in rent free and all the things. And I did a final walkthrough and I saw drug equipment because hello, if you have a drug business in your house, don't you think, like, how are you surprised that people are ringing your doorbell in the middle of the night?
I know.
How are you not how are you surprised about that?
I know.
I would be afraid that somebody would come and gangs or whatever,
And
not like maybe I watch too much
I
TV or
I
something,
would have
but
been on the phone with the police after the first guy showed up
yes.
to give him a heads
Oh,
up.
I would have been on the phone with the police. Like, well, I would have not bought the house. I don't think I would have bought the house, Jackie. I don't know that I'd be comfortable because I'd be
But
afraid
they
of like
bought
the
it, but
ripple
they
effect.
they didn't discover all this stuff till after they moved in.
Yeah, but how do you not discover it if you do a final walkthrough? How do you not notice that at a final walkthrough? If A, they didn't do a final walkthrough, or B, they did a lousy quick run through.
They probably did. Well, you know what probably happened? I'm rereading it, like trying to like comprehend the timeline here, but it looks like they were supposed to close and then they got told, they have to push it out a week, and they said, okay, we'll let you live there. It doesn't look like they really did a formal final walkthrough,
Which would make sense.
which totally makes sense. And then it wasn't until they started cleaning,
Yep.
because they said it was supposed to have been cleaned, professionally cleaned, and they said it wasn't done properly, and then they cleaned it, and then they found all the goods.
Yeah, and that's the
So
other thing too is that when you're dealing with any type of like drug manufacturing, you need to have professional agencies, companies that specialize in cleanup of that particular drug come in and decontaminate the space of wherever that stuff was found. Because
mhm.
like I said, the residue that when you're dealing with that kind of
Yeah.
manufacturing stuff, any little bit of residue, it can be
It
seriously,
could, oh, you're right, it could kill you.
it could kill you. It could be very harmful. I mean, who knows? They have kids or whatever. But um, if I had, I don't know. I don't. I agree with you. I 100% agree with you. I don't think they probably just rushed it. Again, comes back to this
But
stupid dumb realtors. The realtors, if her agent should have, even if you're doing a use and occupancy, right, Jackie?
mhm,
Like where and for those listening, use and occupancy is when you can move in and ahead of the closing time and use the property, occupy the property prior to taking ownership. You're not in a tenant situation, which is good. Never, from a seller's perspective, they
mhm.
don't want tenants because then you have tenant rights and all the things. But you know, you're moving in. You're moving in before you sign the deed, and even before use and occupancy, you still do a final walkthrough because once you're
Oh,
in those
yeah.
use and occupancy agreements, it says right in there the seller's not liable because if you move in and say break the microwave, the seller's not fixing it.
That's right.
It's in the documents that you're
Yep,
moving in. Your name's not on the deed, but the seller's not responsible for anything at that point,
yep.
right?
That's
It's
true, 'cause
still it's still risky because the buyers could up and walk out after they move in. They discover, you know what, we don't like this house after all, and they walk away from the closing. They'll forfeit their deposit, but they could do it,
right.
But you still do a final walkthrough.
We had to do that. So the house I'm in now, we did a use and occupancy because we wanted to get the kids in, before school started, and the closing wasn't happening. We had to wait on our closing on our house in New York, which took forever. I hate New York State for that, but anyway, so it wasn't happening
Does your
until like,
jingle go instead of "I love New York"?
I
It
hate,
goes, "I hate New York."
yes, and New York sucks. Anyway, so it took us. We weren't closing on that house until mid-September. So we moved here the end of August. So we did a UNO for about 3 weeks here in Jersey, and we had to do that before the closing here. Um, we went through the whole walkthrough. The realtor came through, and then we did all the things, and it was fine. But yes, to um, clarify or verify what you're saying. That's
What
what the word I'm looking for. Yes, that's what happens.
what are some of the follow-up comments on that one? What
Hold
do the people
on.
say?
So Not really a lot of follow-up comments on this one. They underneath this thread, there's a lot more other stories that people are sharing, which I will save. I want to save these for future ones because there are some good ones on this
Was
thread.
there anybody recommending that they keep the meth equipment and then you can start a business and actually use that money to pay your
No,
mortgage? That's a
no.
fancy way of paying off your mortgage early.
Yeah, no. Yeah, yeah.
Be like, oh, side hustle.
Side, side hustle. Here's a great way to pay your
It
mortgage.
might kill you. You might go to jail, but you'll pay your
But
mortgage
it's
off
okay.
faster.
It's fine.
We can
It's
do that on a
fine.
live stream, Jackie. How to pay off your mortgage faster might result in you dying or going to jail, but you could have less debt.
You'll be debt free.
You'll be
There you
debt-free. Come.
Anyway, my friend, so that was our drug dealer I thought I pulled that up this morning. I think I just came across that one this morning. I was like, oh, this is good. We're
That's
going to kick it off with
bonkers.
this one.
That's a good one.
So-
I think that's a good one.
No, I thank you.
That's a
Okay.
good one. That's fun. That's fun. All right.
Okay.
Uh,
So next
Rocking and
one.
rolling. Yes.
Okay. So the next one, moving on to the topic of shady agents. Sorry.
Nice.
So this is,
I
this-
sense a theme.
there's a little theme going
I
here.
sense
This
a
was
theme.
just posted 2 days ago. Now these are people that are trying to work with this real estate agent. This real estate agent, not the most ethical, but anyway, well, I wouldn't say most ethical, but here this. Let's check the story out. Okay, so the title is "Are We Being Unrealistic?"
Ooh,
Okay.
Is this like a different version of Am I the Asshole?
It could be. It could
Yeah.
be. I think they need to do that in the real estate Reddit world. Could say,
Yes.
"Are we being unrealistic?" Yeah. Okay. So, all right, going to address. So I guess this is a follow-up post to another one they did before, but you'll basically get the gist of it. So,
Okay.
all right, going to address a few things. When I made this post, I was upset about how our conversation went. I had no idea it would blow up like this. And while I do understand her point, our expectations of finding a home anytime soon are low. I made that clear from the beginning, and she still chose to work with us. And the way she went about it was rude and upsetting. Okay, so he's basically the whole gist of this is this agent was being challenging with them about showing them homes that she knows their offer won't get accepted. So this is listen, Jen, this is becoming a common thing in the world, in the real estate world we're living in today. So that's why I thought this is good to bring this up. Okay, so he goes on to say, we only worked with her for a total of 9 days. We saw one house with her and one house without her. They went to an open house. We submitted one offer on a $324,000 house for $340,000. We are not looking for $500,000 homes with a $400,000 budget. I don't know where people are getting those numbers from. We are pre-approved for $400K and looking for homes under $350K, but mostly $330K. This seems like the most obvious thing. I don't know everything about real estate. Obviously, when I said I know how it all works, I mean the basics of buying and selling a home, as we've done both. I'm just a normal buyer with normal knowledge. I don't know who her brokerage is. I do not know who her broker is. How do you not know who her brokerage is? Anyway, okay. I asked to terminate our contract, and she happily agreed and wished us well on our search. My husband and I both signed and said that's the end of it. We are second-time buyers, pre-approved for $400,000. Our realtor called me today after I asked to see another house. Oh, is this the original post? Am I out of order here, Jen? Hold on.
I don't know
Okay.
what's happening,
This is
Jackie.
the original post. Okay.
Do you need a minute?
I need a minute. Okay, never mind. I'm good. It's that middle-aged brain. Okay.
Hold on.
So this is the gist of it. You know,
You got a minute. We'll wait for you. We'll wait
Okay,
for
Jen.
you. We got time.
you done?
You know what, Jackie? You got daggers.
I know.
For those listening on the podcast, Jackie's got daggers coming out at me right now.
Okay. So it goes on to say, we are second-time buyers. We're pre-approved for $400,000. Our realtor called me today after I asked to see another house listed for $325,000 and said that she didn't want to show us homes because the chance of us getting our offer approved is basically zero because we're asking for seller credit for closing costs. And also because even if we offer above asking, we don't have cash for the appraisal gap. She said we can go into any open houses we want, and if we love a home, she'll write up an offer, but she will not show us homes because it's a waste of her time, and she knows any offer we give won't be approved. We've been through the buying and selling process already and know how it all works. The average sales price of homes in my state, this is in New Hampshire, are $515,000 right now. We realized it may take time to find the right home within our budget and the right seller that will be willing to work with us. She also knew this is our situation when we signed the contract to work with her. She only showed us one home so far and only written up one offer. Are we being unrealistic, or is it time for a new realtor?
Okay, so let me just get clear on something. So they're pre-approved for 400,000.
Yep.
How much was the house that they wanted to make an offer on?
324, and they offered 340. They're only looking at homes between like 325 or 330 and 350. They're
Okay.
keeping it under 400.
So this is a classic case of a freaking lazy ass agent who doesn't want to educate her buyer, who doesn't want to spend the time to find out, okay, so the 324, and you know, when you go look at a house, right? And if it's in a hot neighborhood, it's in a hot price range, the whole 9 yards, and you know the market. This is why I won't go outside my local area to write an offer, because I know the area. I don't know those other areas. And knowing that area, usually you can tell like a rough guesstimate. You don't always know, but you're like, okay, well, that house that's on for 325, based on the way it shows, based on its condition, based on the location, it's going to sell quick and it's going to go over asking. And you know, and you'll also know like how much typically things, like right now things are going in my area, you know, $10,000, $20,000 over like the median sale price, right? Like it's not
Right.
huge like it was 2 years ago.
Right.
Okay. So if a buyer comes to me and says, you know, this is what we're planning to do, and I know that that's not going to be good enough, I take the time to explain to them why.
Exactly.
I take the time to say, well, okay, so my job is to get them from point A to point B. And it's not to tell them what to do, it's to give them the information that they need so they can make the decision to help themselves. And then we go together, we get them from point A to point B. So in other words, like if I know that house is probably going to sell for 350, and you know what? This drives me crazy because back in the day, I worked with a lot of first-time home buyers, and you probably did too. Like, you know, I'm talking earlier in my career, when that's how a lot of agents start. You work with a lot of first-time home buyers, and first-time home buyers don't have cash.
Right.
And sometimes, you know, it gets to that point. I mean, I got in at 96, and when the market revved up in 04, I was still, you know, I mean, it was in, 8 years, but compared to some seasoned agents, you know what I mean? Like it was, I still had a lot of first time home buyers. So the way you get around that is you sweeten the deal with other ways. It's like if you don't have cash, you know what? There's a big saying right now that it's not now. It's been a saying for a long time. Cash is king. Cash is not king in real estate.
Right.
The sum of the parts ends up winning the deal. You could have cash, and I've had plenty of deals where, you know, I've had multiple offers and my sellers did not take the cash offer. Why? Because the one with the financing, somebody was putting 20 or 25% down, and they had waivers and all the things, and they overlooked. I had this happen to me like just recently, about 3 weeks ago, and the agents were like, yeah, but they're paying cash. Yes, so? This other offer was stronger in every other way. So
Exactly.
the key is to find, if that agent was doing her job, she would have figured out, okay, well, what can we do creatively to get around this? I would say to the buyers, hey, listen, okay, so you don't have, what did you say, that they didn't have a lot of cash or something? They were looking for down payment assistance or something like that?
No. Oh, it's seller's concession towards closing. They're looking for credit, seller's credit towards closing costs.
Okay, so seller concessions, and for those listening, that may or may not know, seller concessions, all that is you're asking the seller to contribute money. So it could be $5,000 or $10,000. Well, what that ultimately means is that if you're asking for a seller concession for whatever the reason, right? Whether it be
Mm-hmm.
covering closing costs, whatever. If you want to appeal to the seller, you offer them more money. So you say, okay, well, if my end goal is 340, then I'm going to offer 350.
Right.
Now it's a wash to the seller.
Exactly.
And that's what needs to get explained to buyers so they understand seller net.
Yes.
All the seller cares about is what they're walking away with.
Yep.
That's all they care about. And if you understand what that net is to the seller, then you can go through the numbers and craft an offer. And then, Jackie, it's a matter of the agent doing her job and presenting it properly to the listing agent and saying, listen, I'm gonna walk this through. I'm gonna tell you exactly. I mean, I had offers that I presented that were VA, zero down payment. I still got them accepted because I took the time with the others, because oftentimes the agent on the other side doesn't understand themselves.
Right.
They have no idea. So you like present, you're like, oh, they're seller concession. And then the other agent's like, oh, so they're asking for money. Nope. But if you take the time, be like, okay, talk to the buyer, craft an offer, and then put it together, and then have the conversation with the listing agent and say, here's where they're at. And not in a, what's the word I'm looking for? Not insulting, it's another word for insulting, like, the words on the tip of my tongue. But
Offending
anyways, do you know
them.
what I'm saying?
You're offending them.
Yeah, you don't want to
Yeah.
talk. You're not talking down a listing agent. You're just making sure that the listing agent understands
Right.
exactly what the buyer's intention is, and
Yep.
then emphasize the strength of the pre-approval. The buyers are doing this, but Mr. Seller's agent, they're pre-approved for higher, which means they're a solid buyer. The
You're
agent just has to do their
to do their
freaking
freaking
job.
job. Right. But this is the problem in today's market, Jen, and I'm
Getting
being
off my
totally
soapbox now.
transparent. What?
I said I'm getting on my soapbox now.
Yeah,
You
I'm
know
going to
I
get
get
on my
heated over this
soapbox.
stuff.
But this is the problem in this market right now because it's so competitive. It's hard to get offers accepted. People are the real estate agents are like they don't want to bother
Nope.
with people in this scenario because it is challenging. They don't want to do the work and they just feel like they're going to be defeated every single time they submit an offer. You know, they're looking for the heavy hitters that have 20% or more to put down or a cash buyer. Those are the buyers that they're looking for. It's these people that I feel the worst for because they're not given that opportunity. And like you said, you got to get creative. Here's the first thing that I do when I'm about to submit an offer for my client, I call that listing agent up and I tell them we're going to be presenting an offer. We want to put in an offer. What is the most important thing to the sellers?
Yes. 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 Yes,
That's what
Jackie.
you ask the other
100%.
agent because then you craft the offer around what's important to that seller
You
to
can't
me.
assume it's price.
Yeah, exactly. It's not
Price.
always price. And
No.
a lot of times it's the terms, it's the
Yes.
closing, they want a lease back, they want whatever, it's all of those things. And this agent that won't help these people, shame on her, if it's him or her,
Well, and you know
shame
what?
on them.
This is a classic. This is a classic example of why the industry. I'm not going to say we, because I don't want. I absolutely am going to refuse to be included in that realm of the way they conduct business. I'm saying as an industry, right? Not
Hmm.
you and I, but as an
Right.
industry, this is why our industry is in the pickle that it's in
Yep.
with this whole commission thing.
Yep.
And the reason is because people don't think that realtors are worth the big checks that they're being paid.
No.
And the reason they don't feel that way is because of this stinking agent, because this is the way that they conduct themselves. This is the way.
Hmm.
It's not, oh gosh, my agent really bent over backwards for us. And I cannot believe, I don't know how she got it done, but she did. And we're
Hmm.
so grateful. We're so grateful. We beat out so many offers. We're so grateful.
Yep.
And we're not miracle workers. We're just like, you know what? It's like I told my daughter who graduated from college a couple weeks ago, and she graduated, a degree in illustration in the art field, and she's super talented. But
Hmm.
I said, you do not have to be the most talented artist. You do not need to be the most talented artist to succeed. You just have to outwork everyone. Period. You need to
Amen.
outwork. And I said,
Amen.
and I feel like this industry, I don't have to sell $500 million homes.
No.
I just have to outwork everyone in crafting, working on how to communicate effectively, how to connect with my clients better, right? What's going on in the industry that might give me a few more tools in my tool belt that I can use when I'm
Mhm.
putting offers together or presenting offers. Like,
Yep.
just be better at your craft,
Yes.
and that will be, and I'll tell you, Jackie, and I don't want to, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I don't show that many homes to buyers because, well, first I get laser focused on what they need,
Yep.
and I don't refuse to show them things. I never do that. I never
No.
refuse. However, we have extensive, you do the same thing, extensive consultations beforehand. So I know,
Hmm.
I have a really good idea. And if they out of the blue say, hey, what about this house? I tell them, hey, well, this house you told me you want to be in a neighborhood because your kids, this one's on a main road with a lot of traffic. Are you okay with that? And then
Yep.
they say no, and we move on. So
Right.
I'm not saying we're not going to go look at it, but because I know what their expectations are, what their goals are, I can guide them so we don't waste hours of time that they don't have
Exactly.
looking at
Exactly.
stuff that doesn't meet their needs. And then they end up hurrying up, and it's bidding wars and emotions and everything else. They make an offer, and then they're miserable because they just
Right.
bought a house on a busy street.
Right.
And like, how did we get here? And then they write a Reddit story. So
And then it ends up here.
and then it
So
ends
yeah,
up
it's
here.
a, it's a
But
whole
so
sort.
it's
It's a
just
whole
oh man, I
circle of
feel for
life.
that. I
But
feel for them. I feel
yeah,
for them.
I feel for them too. This is again, this is what's giving us this industry, not us, you and me, giving the
No.
industry a bad rap because of crap like this.
Yep.
And sorry to that real estate agent. Do better.
I'm
Do
not
better.
sorry. I'm not sorry because you know why? Because agents like that uh, shouldn't be in the business, and likely they won't be. You know what I mean?
But to
Because
me, that's the agent that's in it just for the sale to make the money.
and then
That's it. They're just in for the commission. That's
absolutely, and you know what? Right now, it's no joke. I mean, it's tough right now because depending on where you are in the country, it is it there's the sales. It's not money's not walking in the door. Okay,
No,
it's
no, it's
not low
not.
hanging fruit, right? Like
Very
it's you have
challenging.
to every person that wants to list their home. It's they're valued because they're far and few between, and so the reality of it is a lot of all my business is, like you, it's like, 95, 97% of it's all referral business that people coming
Yep.
to me. So they're not
Yes.
going to anybody else. So those agents that have done those quick deals and they're not really taking care of their people and they're not getting the repeat business, they're starving and they're going to leave the business,
Yeah.
which to be honest is good for the consumer.
I agree with you. Amen, Jen. Good one. All right.
Hallelujah.
All righty. So I got another good one. This one was just posted 17 hours ago.
Ooh,
What?
fresh. Fresh.
Fresh off
Does it
the,
smell
yeah,
nice and fresh?
yes,
Is it nice,
fresh off
still
the
nice and warm?
fresh off the Reddit
Fresh,
real estate disaster presses. Here we go.
fresh. It's nice and yeah. It's got that new baby smell.
Yes. Okay. This is a good one. It does. It's good. It's so exciting. Okay. The title of this one, I'm purchasing my first house and close tomorrow, but ran into weird issue at the end. Oh, I love when things come up at the 11th hour. Okay. I am purchasing a house that's older, built in 1953, and there's some electrical issues. Sorry, there's some electrical issues. No grounding, no GCFI compatibility, loose conduit, etc. We requested to be fixed, addressed during the due diligence period that the home inspector found. The seller also didn't provide access to the electrical box during or prior to the home inspection, which meant the inspector couldn't access it. Here we go, red flag.
Yep.
Okay, since time has gone on and the due diligence period ended, they have still not fixed what we asked them to, even though in the terms they said they would. The listing agent keeps saying that the work was completed by a licensed electrician, but wouldn't provide his name or phone number. We went back out for a second home inspection with the same inspector to make sure the work was complete.
Good for
It
them.
wasn't. Access to the crawl space and amp box were given, but the home inspector isn't an electrician and probably didn't know what to look for as far as the arching went. My agent my agent has been reaching out to the selling agent multiple times to see if the work has been completed, but never an answer. So my agent went back to the house with our own electrician. They put here hired off of Google. Okay. During the inspection the electrician was conducting, he opened the breaker box and found signs of arching and melting due to a very old and worn amperage box.
It
It's
happens.
going to cost, by his estimation, about $6,000 to replace. The electrician also said he could not, in good faith, keep the electricity on because of the fire hazard and
Yeah.
subsequently shut it off. So we told the listing agent, and they freaked out on us, saying it's our fault the arching happened and that we were
It's
responsible
arcing,
for the
actually.
damages. Yeah,
It's arcing.
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 Sorry.
I got
Sorry
you.
about that.
I got you.
Okay. The listing agent the listing agent even called the electric company and demanded, cussing and yelling, they go back and turn the electricity back on. The listing agent said we were trespassing. We had no right to go back and inspect the property again. They also said that it was outside of the due diligence period, which is correct, but they never provided access to the amp box in the first home inspection, almost like they were trying to hide the melting and arcing. You think? Yeah. The listing agent also sent my agent an addendum stating that since we turned off the power, that when we do a walkthrough, they are not liable for anything. However, the electrician had turned the power off because he said that the way it was, it could cause a serious fire. Are they allowed to do this? What sort of options do I have in order to cover my butt in case I need to take them to small claims court? Or if that's even an option since we're out of the due diligence. It's a weird issue. I'm just trying to see what my options are. I literally closed tomorrow and all of this culminated today. Should I sign the closing paperwork? What say you, Jen?
Oh boy, this is a flippin' mess.
Uh-huh.
Jeez. Well, first off, that buyer's agent, although it sounds like that buyer's agent was really trying to do their best, I mean, it sounds like they were trying to doing a pretty good job in representing them. They should have got an extension on that due diligence period. They should have got an extension to cover them for whatever, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
For whatever that is outstanding. I mean, I had a situation recently where, you know, the buyers were doing a radon test, and the radon test was taking a little longer than normal. So we had it in right. It was literally like 2 days, but we had an extension for the radon test. We had an extension. We had another situation where the home inspector that they hired didn't write the report at the home inspection, and they were waiting, but the home inspector was late in delivering the report. The inspection itself went great. I was there sitting in the kitchen, and and nothing major came up, but they were, late. Well, and actually what was interesting is the only thing that came up on that report was electrical, which is very interesting. Kind of, a little bit interesting. But anyways, we had an extension, because if they had an extension for that due diligence, there would be no conversation. But I will tell you that arcing on an electrical panel is super, super dangerous.
I've never
that could burn down the house.
experienced that. I didn't even know what that was. I'm saying arching. I have no idea what arcing is.
I mean, basically, it's the breaker. The breaker shorts, and literally arcing is when electricity jumps. Literally jumps. And I mean, if you have electricity jumping, and all of a sudden one of those wires, the shielding around one of those wires catches fire.
Oh God.
You're done. Now, these boxes that they have now, the newer boxes are actually, and I didn't know this until a year ago, but the boxes that they have now are actually built to contain fire for hours. So because you have a
Wow.
fire that starts in a box, now
Okay.
you've got time. You've got time to react to your whole house. But the older boxes, 1950, they didn't have that. They
Yeah.
did not have that. And so,
Uh-huh.
I mean, I'll give you another example. My own house. So my house is 1971, and about 8 years ago, um, we were putting in mini splits. Okay,
Hmm.
and so they were tying. They took the electrician came in, and the panel is a 200 amp panel, so plenty of open breakers to add the system in. So they take the front of the cover of the panel. Now I do a lot of DIY stuff at my house.
Hmm.
Nothing major, but like replacing outlets and installing light fixtures and stuff like that. But I never take the cover off my panel. Like it's not something that it's kind of a pain,
Right.
but that's like, I don't mess with electricity that way. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So no reason. Well, he took the front of the panel off, and he's like, we got a major problem. Apparently, a little bit of water, not a lot because it wasn't dripping down, had been slowly over time had gotten into the panel. The breakers should pop right out. They were fused together. They said, Jen, you got to get this panel out of here
Oh.
today.
Oh
Needless
my
to say,
God.
I said, do what you got to do. And we shut the power down immediately. And I
Yeah.
had a whole new panel installed like right then and there.
Oh
And
my God.
because it's scary, because electrical fires travel fast. And an
Oh
older
yeah.
panel, they're not,
Yep.
there's no protection. So if there's arcing, oh man, and shame on the seller's agent. It's very obvious to me that that seller's agent just wanted to get that deal done.
Exactly. They were obviously hiding it,
Yep.
right? They were
Just want to get the
obviously
check.
hiding it. But here's the thing. Going back to the whole agent thing again, the buyer should have insisted that they go back again if they couldn't locate the breaker during the
Oh,
inspection. They should have
absolutely.
gone back sooner than the day before they're supposed to close. They
100%.
should have demanded that, or they should have walked
Yeah.
away from the deal if they weren't going to give them access because it was obvious. It's obvious they were hiding it.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a major, like that's a major red flag. I mean, electrical panel is one of the major components that you check in a home
yeah.
inspection. That is
Yep.
one of the major components. Like
Yep.
you can't, like that's one of the points,
Right.
right? To like you can't that yeah, no, it's one of those things too, like electrical panels. That's that's a bunch of I cry BS on the
Yep.
sellers saying that we can't have access or we don't have access, whatever. Because I'm sorry, if you have any reason to have, I mean, electrical panel access is like access to your main water shut off. If all of a sudden
Hmm.
you have arcing up in your kitchen or whatever, you're running downstairs and cutting the power to the house. You
Yep.
have to have easy access to your electrical panel if you need to cut the power to your house in a hurry.
Right.
Period.
Yep.
Right? Like,
Yep.
and to say, oh, we don't have access, bullshit.
So some people are commenting on this, Jen. They're saying somebody says don't close tomorrow. Once you take ownership, it's yours. You can't even get insurance on the house because it's not
No,
safe.
100%.
So, and some people are just saying don't even buy the house, walk away from it.
I would
So
walk away from it. Because if they're covering, it's that
yeah,
whole thing of if they're covering that up, what else are they covering up?
yeah,
You know what I
that's what my
mean?
gut's saying. I'd be like, you know what, give me my money back. You didn't do what you're supposed to do. The seller was in breach of contract because they were supposed to.
This whole thing
They're supposed to
smells
repair it.
rotten.
It
And and
is.
and
It's
and,
bad.
and you know what? And it sucks because the buyers are now out their home inspection money. Um,
Yep.
hopefully their attorney hopefully the attorney goes to bat for them, right? If they have, like, not all attorneys are created equal, but if their
No.
attorney goes to bat for them, then potentially they could get their deposit back. But here's the thing: if they don't have if they're not covered by some sort of an agreement, that protects that deposit, backing out now could mean forfeiting their escrow money. If unless they have an attorney that's going to go to bat for them, right? And to say, hey, listen,
Yeah.
you're not delivering this thing, and I mean, I don't know, which state did you say that was this the one?
They didn't say
They didn't say,
what
okay.
state they're in. So I think, but no, but listen, they
Okay,
could
so
get
hold on a second. Let me. Sorry for interrupting you. Um, so if I'm just thinking, what would I do? I would probably have them call their insurance company, tell the insurance company it has an arcing box, so that the insurance company refuses to provide a home insurance binder. You can't close without a home insurance binder.
Yep.
Now
Yep.
that now you're done because the seller the property does not conform to the home insurance requirements. And then I'm not an attorney. I'm not an attorney, but I would think, what are your thoughts on that? I would think that that could be grounds for.
That would be that's definitely grounds right there because you can't close without insurance.
You
So
can't
you
have
can't.
an uninsurable property.
Yeah, you can't. So
No, the contracts that we sign, the purchase contracts that at the beginning of the process have stipulations that the property will be insurable.
right.
So now they can back out, but it's actually the seller's fault,
So somebody
right?
commented here as you're talking. I'm just going through the comments, Jen, and somebody has a good comment here. This person says your sellers are in breach. You should not be closing tomorrow. First thing tomorrow morning, call the lawyer, tell them the closing's delayed, and take the advice of the other posters. Contact your agent's broker. Demand that the seller provide the repair invoices and stop threatening you, or you're going to sue them for breach of contract. They are absolutely on the hook for having the electricity on for the walkthrough. It's off because of an issue that has nothing to do with you. It has to do with the poor condition of the electrical system of the house they're trying to pawn off on you. In other words, it's their problem. Sending you an addendum doesn't change that. All you were trying to do is not get scammed. So they're in breach because they failed to prove repairs called for in the contract. And now they're threatening action that will also put them in breach by not maintaining the home in a condition that can be inspected in a final walkthrough.
That
I'm
there it
almost
is right
sure,
there. There
right
it is
there.
right there.
I'm almost sure the contract spells out that they must have electricity to get it turned back on. I can't talk. To get it turned back on, I bet they need to make repairs, real repairs. And at some point, if you stand your ground, they will probably ask you to pay for it up front. That's up to you. You can agree to some kind of escrow with $6,000 in it to address this and other deficiencies in the home past the closing if they refuse to have the electricity on. But you need to plant your feet firmly. This is not about being nice. It's about being able to live with yourself, having made this deal. Now,
You know
I
what?
still wouldn't close
Amen.
on it.
Like for all
That
the
was a
crap, for all the crap we give Reddit, that was a really good response,
That what right? That was a
right?
real that person was spot on with that. But after reading that and just going through this again and them threatening, they're not liable like, at the final walkthrough because the power's off, they're not liable for anything. No, dude, you have no electricity. You have to present the house with electricity. So
Well, I don't. Okay, so let me back up by saying that I don't think the stipulation in the contract says that the house has to have electricity. I think the stipulation in the contract is going to say the property needs to be in the condition that it was presented to the buyers when they initially made the agreement.
yes. Yeah,
So if
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
house
Yep.
has if the house had electricity, just like if it has running water and it had
Right.
sewer or septic when you agreed to purchase it, and now all of a sudden those things don't work,
Right.
that's a breach of contract right there. So
That's
it's
a
not the
problem.
electricity individually;
Right, right,
it's
right, right.
the fact that it's not
Exactly.
conforming
That's what I
as a
meant.
whole.
Right. That you had right. You said it. It-
There you go.
you said it, Jen.
I would run
Yeah.
for the hills though. I
I
would
would
get
be,
out, get your
yeah.
deposit back, and as
Yeah.
heartbreaking, and that's exactly what she doesn't want to hear, because now you got to start all over, and you've lost time and home inspection money and
But
all the
if
stuff.
I
But
was her,
mm,
I would get a new agent because I think the agent failed her on this one. Because if that was me, I would be on the phone every day to that listing agent saying, "We need to get back in to check the electrical. We couldn't find the electrical panel. When can we go back in?" I would.
and if
I
and if
I'm
that
relentless.
and if that listing agent didn't respond, then you call the broker
Call
that
the
she works
broker.
under.
Oh, absolutely.
Period.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You don't
Oh,
just
yeah.
say, you don't just let it like, oh, I can't get in touch with them, so sorry. Like, no, this is time sensitive stuff, but also truly they should have, it's like do not pass go. Like they should never have
No,
got to this point without
no.
some sort of coverage. They should never have gone past the due diligence without fully inspecting. This should not be an issue at this stage in the game.
No, it should not.
right? This is
Yep.
something that should have been, taken care of. Here's another component. She's purchasing her first home.
Yep.
I'm assuming it's not cash, right?
Mm-hmm.
How is a lender going to approve?
That's exactly, I was
lender's
thinking about
never,
this. Yep. A lender
never
wouldn't
going to
let that
approve
happen either. Nope.
a property that has known fire hazard. Like, no,
No.
they're not going to issue the loan.
Nope. Absolutely not.
She needs to get out of there.
Yeah,
I
run
would
for the
be
hills.
nervous that other stuff. I mean, it's one thing. Like my house needed quite a bit of work, but nothing was hidden.
Mm-hmm.
We knew it needed work. We knew that the chimney liner was junk. We knew that like all the things that it needed, we accepted it. We knew what we were walking into.
Right.
That house, I have a feeling like it's just gonna be one thing after another, because
Yep.
the sellers just strategically weren't forthcoming in all the things.
Yep. They knew what they were doing. They knew what they were doing, those sellers, those shady sellers. All right. I think we have time for one more. Do you want to do one more?
Yes.
All right.
Let's go.
Hold
for
on.
it. You're on a roll, Jackie.
I'm on a,
These are juicy.
did I do good?
Yeah, these are juicy. These are just like, you know what? The thing is a lot of these things, like sometimes we have situations that we can relate to, but it just amazes me, these situations. Like I've never had that situation. Thankfully, I've never had to be put in that situation. But I'm like, I haven't been exposed. Like I've heard of it happening, but to like get down to the nitty gritty, it's just, it's
I'm loving this. I love
like
seeing
watching
this
a
stuff.
car wreck, kind of.
Yeah.
You can't turn away, and you're like, but wait.
Or like you're watching a horror movie and you're like, what? You're like, don't go in there, you know?
Oh my God.
It's like the killer's in the other room. Don't go in there.
I'm a scaredy cat. I'm a scaredy cat. My kids will tell you, I'm a total scaredy cat when it comes to, jump scare things, anything scary. However, I got into watching The Walking Dead when it came out years and years ago. Right?
Yeah.
For whatever reason, the character development, I don't know why. It just like, I'm like, okay, I can get past the whole zombie thing. But so it came on, I saw it on Netflix. I was looking for something to just, you put on the background at night, and I'm like planning my day and stuff like that. And I'm watching it and I'm going, oh my God. Like, I don't even remember, because it was like 11 seasons or something crazy like that. So I don't remember what happened to the intricacies.
Yeah.
And I know I'm going to get the crap scared out of me.
Yeah.
I know when the music dies down and they're teeing it up. They're teeing it up. I can't turn away. I can't stop watching.
Yeah.
I can't, even though I know it's going to scare me, even though I know I'm going to be like, oh, gross.
You just got to do it.
All the things, and all the, all the things that gross me out, but I can't stop watching. And this is kind of like, you know what I mean?
Yep.
That's what I kind of feel like with these things.
All right, cool. Well, let's get into one more then.
Those Walking Dead listeners.
The Walking Dead listeners, yes.
Which, out of the 4 listeners that we have now, maybe one of them is a Walking Dead fan. Who knows?
Yeah, you never know.
Comment on the podcast.
All right, this one, home buying nightmare. Okay, so we are first-time homeowners. To give a bit of background, we financed our home through a VA-backed mortgage loan, which has its own very strict set of rules before we could close on our home. After the first inspection report, it was determined that a tree over the deck had to have its branches trimmed to avoid further damage to the roof shingles, in addition to a shingle replacement, fixing the foundation of the deck, and fixing an active leak from the master bathroom. The VA requires these repairs to be completed before underwriting can clear to close. The seller's agent was very, very reluctant and pushed back as hard as he could, but we were already deep into the contract phase, and he didn't want the sale to fall through. Here we go. Crappy agent warning, crappy agent warning. Okay. He first hired an unlicensed contractor to do the repairs. VA said it was a no-go. You need a licensed contractor. Somebody needs to educate that agent about VA loans. Anyway, the seller's agent then got his brother, a licensed contractor, to sign off on the repairs, but neglected to provide proof like pictures, invoices, or work order. Nice. Now, 3 months post sale, our home insurance was canceled and a refund check was issued due to what they considered non-completion of critical repairs.
What?
They never received the documents signed off by the contractor, nor the requested photos for proof of work. And since this involves a major leak and a roof, this was critical information they needed because they were told by our mortgage broker and the seller's agent that it would be completed pre-closing. We don't know if we have legal recourse because now the mortgage broker is saying we have to come out of pocket for repairs that were contractually set before closing. If we don't, they will kick on the secondary insurance, which will skyrocket our mortgage payment. This is so unfair. Any advice would be appreciated.
I don't
What the,
understand how
how did that close?
how did they get insurance if they never, like, Jackie, like, have you ever had a situation where an insurance, because I've done VA loans before.
Me too.
I know how they
Me
work.
too.
And so, like, how did they get the insurance to begin with? How did they get the insurance before getting the signed off repairs? Like, they won't usually issue insurance unless they have the signed off repairs.
So,
And, like, that doesn't make any sense to me.
from what I understand with the VA loan, you have a certain period of time post close to get the repairs done as well. If the seller can't get it done, then you have to get it done post close, and you have, like, I forget how many days.
Interesting.
That's
I've never
what it
done
is.
that. I've always dealt with it.
Yeah, it's
upfront.
always been done before, but I remember my lender telling me that you do have a period of time post close, and they come back and check. So apparently that's what happened here. And yeah. So
Okay, so do you want me to go with my thoughts on this
please
first?
do. Please do, because we love hearing your thoughts, Jen.
Do you though?
Yes, we do.
Do you though?
Yes.
I'm very opinionated sometimes.
That's why we get
My
along.
opinions, and I own them. So there you go. Anyhow, so here's the thing: as you just mentioned yourself, like, you've done VA loans, I've done VA loans.
Yep.
And so we are familiar with what the expectations are.
Right.
And when a buyer comes to me and says, I have a VA loan, great. So I go over with them what the requirements are. I mean, the lender obviously does that, but I'm going to tell them what the practical application is.
Right.
When the rubber meets the road, like, it's one thing to say, oh, make sure this is there's no peeling paint and there's no rotted wood and all this. And then I tell them, okay, let me tell you how this actually pans out. You have two choices. This is going to be either you find a house that doesn't need any work, or you find a house that needs work, and you, Mr. Buyer. Now, this is the way I've always approached it, right? If the buyer is the one with the loan, the seller's not responsible for doing things that will conform it to the buyer's loan. In other words, peeling paint, or I had a VA situation years and years and years ago where the VA appraiser wanted the shed to be painted.
I had that. I had a garage that had to be painted. Yep.
If you have a conventional loan, they are not going to care.
Right.
So we're not talking structural issues. Can you buy a house with a leak in the bathroom? Yep. As long, providing the parties are amenable and all the things. But is the lender on a conventional loan going to get in the way if there's a minor drip, or if some shingles need to be replaced, if there's a little bit of rot or whatever? Like, in other words, if it's not deemed a complete rehab.
Right.
So the requirement to get this stuff done is on the buyer side. So that being said, because I know what the VA, and I have a conversation. This is the other thing, is when I have a VA loan, they're where I'm at, they're farther and fewer between. We don't have there's a base on the Cape. I don't sell on the Cape, so I don't have a lot of military buyers. I don't do a ton of VA loans. So what I do is I call the lender before we even look at a single house. I call the lender and say, Mr. Lender, what are the current requirements, so I know how to advise my client when we look at houses? when we go in a house, I go through and tell them this is going to be an issue, that's going to be an issue, that's going to be an issue. We can ask the seller, but are you willing to take care of these things yourself if the seller won't do it? Period. Okay. So that's the first thing is the expectation, like the agent educating the buyer on what those expectations are, because they're not just the seller's expectations, right? Big, BS like that. The agent dropped the ball, and then that's my thought on that. Before I get into the other thought, how do you stand on that? Do you do something different on as far as how do you approach VA loans?
So one that we did, the sellers, how did that happen? Oh, because we were under time constraints. So I think did they give a credit? I think they gave a credit, and then my buyer was going to he had to get the garage repainted. Seriously, okay. He had to get it repainted. So he was going to be given, I think it was 30 days post close, something like that. I'm looking it up right now because I can't remember exactly what it was. It was a few years back.
But the seller credited the buyer.
Yes.
And the buyer was going to do it after closing.
Was going to do it after the fact because there was no way they could have gotten it done. The sellers needed to move. So
that was good that the seller compensated though.
Right. You know but listen, I've heard, and my girlfriend was selling her house. This is upstate New York. And her buyers were an FHA loan. And she ended up there was a couple of things that had to be repaired in her place, and she ended up doing them.
Yep.
She ended up repairing them.
Yeah. You know that shed that I mentioned earlier?
Yeah.
The buyer actually painted that shed on a weekend. Oh, of course we got permission from the buyer. We worked the seller and all the things, but the buyer painted the shed.
No. So no, my friend who was the seller did the repairs for this FHA buyer. Oh. Yes. Yeah. Yes. So
which, I guess, and that's the thing is there's what's required, and then there's what is willingly done. If the seller wants to be a nice guy, and maybe they're like, hey, you know what? Doesn't matter who's going to buy it. Everybody's going to have an issue with peeling paint. I'll just take care of it. That's then fantastic, But if we're boiling it down to like who's responsible, if obviously the agent on the buy side, it seems like, correct me if I'm wrong, it seems like the buyer agent on this one was like, hey, these things are wrong, Mr. Seller, you need to fix it. And the listing agent, who probably didn't know squat about a VA loan either.
That's why I was like, hello, red flag. He doesn't know what he's doing.
He doesn't know what he's doing because they were like, because, if the seller's going to do it, then the seller should do it legitimately. But
right.
Did you say the seller, did the seller say that they weren't going to do it and the agent said that they were going to fix it? Or did the seller say?
I'm back. I'm rereading it again. So the seller's agent was reluctant. He pushed back because we were already deep in the contract. He didn't want the sale to fall through. But then the seller's agent turned around and hired an unlicensed contractor to do the repairs.
Yeah. That
agent
is stupid because the listing agent should not be getting involved in that stuff.
No.
That's not their responsibility.
Right.
Because guess what? The listing agent hires somebody. Now that person that they hired, if they did shoddy work, who is the buyer going to go back and sue?
Right.
The listing agent.
Right. And then he goes
right?
Right. And then he went back and got his brother, who's the listing agent got his brother, who's a licensed contractor, to sign off on the repairs. You dope. Are you kidding me?
Shady.
Today's theme is shady agents. Sorry.
Shady. I wrote that down. Shady agents.
Make that the title, Jen. This is the title of today's podcast.
Oh my goodness.
But so now these poor people are stuck. They lost their home insurance. And so yeah, that's good.
So they're closed. It's 3 months post. They never received the docs or the pictures. If this if
How
this
did that
listing agent,
close? But how did they
this is what I
close the
don't
loan
understand.
without that?
I don't understand how they closed.
Yeah.
Somebody there must have been some shady stuff going on to get it closed in the first place.
Something does not smell right there. Something
Something
happened.
was that? What's that saying? There's something.
Something's rotten in Denmark.
Yes, there we go. That's the one I was looking for.
See, that I'm dating
You
myself.
know how to read my brain.
I
You know what I'm
well,
thinking.
we say,
What
Jen,
am
we
I thinking
share
now, Jackie?
we share a brain.
What am
That's
I think? What am I thinking now? I'm sending you. I'm sending you through the interwebs. What am I thinking? What am I thinking right this very minute?
you're thinking that this listing agent is a freaking
No,
moron,
I'm thinking I
but
need a snack because I'm hungry.
you need to say, well,
Wrong answer.
it's been an hour and 10 minutes, so it's been a while.
You're a clock watcher, you know.
I
You're the
am.
clock watcher. I'm just
I
having fun. You're like,
I know. I know.
Chloe's, jeez, called you Chloe, my daughter's name. Jackie the clock watcher. You're funny. You keep us in check, Jackie.
Yes, I do. I'm a rule
Keep us in
follower.
check.
I'm a
But
rule follower, Jen.
I
So
think this buyer that is the new owner. What are you going to do?
see,
There's nothing you can do. You got to get the repairs done, and you
you
got to
got
get
you're
you got to because
SOL.
that seller's gone, that listing agent's gone, that contractor. Do you really want that contractor to come back and do anything? This
No.
unlicensed contractor or the brother? If
Yep.
it were me, I think you bandage up your wounds, you suck it up, you get the work done properly, get the pictures and stuff over to the insurance company, and get it reinstated. I mean, I don't know. I feel like that's the only answer
See,
to the situation. What do you think?
that's what they're going to have to do. But I wanted to add this. This is when I appreciate that here in Jersey we have lawyers that are involved with the real estate deal because
You know what? Massachusetts is the same
yeah,
way.
this is where I appreciate the lawyers because
Yeah.
they get involved and they will not let anything close. They won't let anything happen until everything is squared away.
Yep.
They dot the I's, cross the T's, all the things before anything closes and nobody gets screwed. Because
And they represent you. Like if
they,
there's
right,
any
exactly.
negotiation, like I think it was the last story. Yeah, the last story, like with the electrical and all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. Like no, the attorneys just should have gotten involved. And I would have. I
Yep.
mean, I'm all for. And we've talked about this before. I'm all for and fully believe that the agents, like our job is negotiation. That's what our clients are paying us for is our negotiation skills. And a lot of things can be settled with two, agents that know what they're doing, that are worth their salt. However, sometimes you gotta take a step back.
Yeah.
And you gotta let the attorneys, duke it out and to make sure, especially over, legal issues. And yeah.
Yep. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I think that this is just, it stinks. I mean, would
I
you,
know.
you think they would go back and like sue anybody to try to recoup some money?
I don't
Probably
know if
not,
they,
huh?
I'm reading the comments.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Tell me what the
I
comments
don't
say.
know if, I don't know. I don't know if they have any recourse. Hold on a second. I mean, there's not a ton of comments on here. Let me see here. Somebody wrote here, have you reached out to your realtor? That's who you should be talking to, and possibly a lawyer. That is a great question. Yes, we did. She immediately contacted a mortgage broker who told her that we would have to do the repairs ourselves and provide documentation to reinstate our insurance. I feel like the asshat who signed off on the repairs is liable. He signed a document with his license number. He should come out and do the thing. No, I wouldn't have that guy come back.
Coulda, shoulda, woulda.
Right, but I wouldn't have that guy come back, but I would be going after them, saying you signed off on it when this stuff wasn't taken care of. What should have happened? So this says you can hire a lawyer and fight it, but it will cost money. What should have happened, and your realtor should have been the one to ask, is that you didn't close until you had all documentation, receipts, and proof that it was sent to the right people. See, this is
if there's a message here, it's don't rush to close when the writing's on the wall. When the writing is on the wall, like, and this is the thing, and we've talked about this before, as far as like truly, like truly what our most important role is as an agent.
Right.
And our most important role is to be the pragmatic. It's to be the person that doesn't have skin in the game, right?
Yep.
The buyers, the sellers, it's impossible for them to not be emotional. It is
Mm-hmm.
impossible, right? And this is why it's, I get why the general public is like, it's a lot of money, it's a lot of money. But the thing is like, to do it yourself and to save the money, it's almost impossible to separate. Some people do it 100%, but it is not normal to be able to separate pragmatic,
Mm-hmm.
and the emotional part of the process,
Mm-hmm.
and
Right.
our job is to keep the calm, and say,
Mm-hmm.
okay, logically, I know you're disappointed. I know that you had your heart set on this house. I know this is like putting your world upside down and
Mm-hmm.
all the things, but you have two choices. You can choice A, accept the consequences and move forward, which means you accept the consequences,
Right.
period. Good or bad, you accept it. Or choice B, you cut bait and go in the other direction
Mm-hmm.
and not take any chances of further heartbreak.
Right.
But you make that choice, and it's like they need to hear that. You know what I
Yes.
mean? They need to hear that, and that's our job to say, because I mean, it doesn't, to you and me, if working with a buyer, if they don't buy this one, then there'll be another one. There's
Right.
always another house. Like, it may
Exactly.
take a while, but it's like, it's not, we don't, you and I have houses to go back to. So we can stand there from a pragmatic point and give very grounded options to the buyers who, when your emotions are high, you're like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know what to do. I really love this house, and maybe we'll just overlook it, and maybe we'll just, we'll just go along with it because I can't imagine starting all over, whatever. And it's like, okay, so what's the worst thing that could happen? You're
Right.
out the home inspection money. What's the worst thing that could happen? Okay, you're going to delay possibly finding another house.
Yep.
Is that worth possibly losing thousands of dollars in repairs that you didn't expect?
Right.
And to take a step back, you know what I'm saying? And and it's just sad. These stories, and all the joking aside, these stories make me sad, because it's just, I feel for a lot of these people, because you know what? They don't know that they're making the mistakes that they're making.
Exactly.
You
It's
know what
so
I mean?
true. It's so true.
It's
And getting back to, again, not to bash our industry, but getting back to these agents who are
I don't think we're
uneducated.
bashing it, Jackie.
No,
I think we're
we're
just
just,
shedding light on it, and
you're right.
not like we were talking about this earlier. And I'm sorry for interrupting you, but but I'm going to do it anyways.
Go ahead.
I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead.
No, it's not bashing. It's just not being afraid to call, to call a spade a spade.
Exactly. No, we call them out.
It's not, and it's not the whole industry. It's not the
No.
whole industry, but unfortunately, those people that do crappy jobs, those are the ones that get the most. It's the squeaky wheel. The
Yes.
agents that are doing their job and that are ethical and they're great at negotiation and they're doing the good work, you never hear about them.
No,
You don't hear about
you
them. It's
don't.
the
And
crappy, slimy, lazy, uneducated agents that want a quick
yep.
buck. Those are the ones that get all the attention. And those are the ones that I want to acknowledge that are just, yeah. You
Yep.
know what they are? That's what they are. I'm not even going to say it.
All right. All
Anywho,
right, my
so you're not
friend.
bashing.
So
We're
we're
just
just
dropping.
calling it
We're
out.
just calling it out.
Calling it out.
You
That's
know
it.
what? And in all honesty, I think that there's just too many people in our industry that it's just like, yeah, but they don't understand. This is how it is. And
Yeah.
oh, it's the buyer's fault because they didn't say that to the agents. Like, come on.
Yeah. Right.
Come on. Like, you're going to make excuses?
Yep.
No, 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 no. Just call it for what it is.
Yes. So that's what I have for today, my friend.
Well, I hope all these people have learned something.
Yep.
I just hope
Too.
that. I hope these people have learned something, and it's not to not use agents. It's just, I mean, honestly, Jackie, that's, you and I talk about this like on our YouTube channels. Like, that's why we do the things we do when we tell people, hey, if you
Exactly.
need an agent that's worth their salt, that does the work,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't know one in your area, if you don't have a personal connection or a previous experience with one, then ask us.
Right.
And yes, we get a referral fee. And I'm not afraid of saying that. We get a referral fee because hello, I like food with my meal.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because
You got to make a living.
we
Got
gotta
to
make
make
a living,
money.
and there's no regular steady paycheck in this job, and so this
Nope.
is how it helps pay our mortgage. But if we can help somebody, save them heartache and thousands of dollars by working with a proper agent, it's a win-win.
Yes, it is.
It's a win-win.
Yes, it is.
On
Awesome.
that note, thank you for everybody for joining us, Jackie.
Yes.
Good job.
Hey,
Once
thanks,
again,
Jen.
every week.
Thanks.
So
I tried.
We'll see you. We'll do this again next week.
Yep. Yes, you will.
We'll see what we got going on here.
See what we got going on next time.
I don't know. My music's not playing.
There we go.
I love this music.
I love this music. I think this is it. This is our new theme here.
I'm kind of digging it. Hopefully it's not too loud. There we go.
I'm totally digging this.
So I'll see you next week, Jackie.
See you next week, Jen. Have a great one.
Everybody be nice, be kind, help your neighbor, look before crossing the street, and have a wonderful day. Ciao.
Bye.